First of all, I was an extremely anxious and angry person. If if something bad were to happen in a day, and by bad, it's subjective, right? Bad to me is different than someone else. But something were to bother me, and then maybe that interaction only took 10 minutes. I am pissed off for the whole day. I hated that. That thing consumed me a lot. I was always driven by anger. So I used to always tell myself, and to be honest, this part of me that still believes that is like um, emotions are just energy, and energy is transferable. So if I feel angry, I can transfer that anger energy into towards like productivity, right? And now I can produce output. Relationships was is a fucking shit show. Oh my God. I I've been in extremely toxic relationships. I've been in relationships where some of the things that have happened, like you would swear it's a movie and not a good movie. It's a really bad movie. I also realized that I've never been in a relationship longer than a whole year. That's never happened. I've always given up on relationships every single time. I've never been broken up with. I wish I have. I don't know what that feels like because I always run away from everything because of the Nikean Foundation. So look, I have to be humble and admit this. I'm your average guy. Like I have a lot of average tendencies, and you know what one of them is? I listen to Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan. I have him blasting in the background every now and then, and he talks about psychedelics, and he was the first person ever to talk about it in a positive light. But I didn't take it too seriously, and I think just like regular human nature to hear something online and maybe take it seriously, maybe don't for them, but for the most part, you trust someone that you know in person, right? So when I met Sanjay, I'll never forget this because it's one thing to hear it and see it online. It's another thing when the dude is right in front of you and you could literally almost see a flame in his eyes, right? And another thing that I think is also important, applies to Joe, is I'm a little bit old school. I have a lot of respect and trust to people who are way older than me. Now, I'm not calling Sanjay, I'm not calling you 70-year-old, but you're older than me. You have way more life experience than I do. So the way he talked about it, the way he told me that um, he this guy who's uber successful is putting a lot of his time, energy, resources into this business. I'm like, into the Kane Foundation. I'm like, maybe there's something that I'm not aware about. And then afterwards, I decided to do a little bit of a deep dive. I then just naturally, like, I went to Mexico actually last year, and I met someone who's a neuroscientist who loves psychedelics. I'm like, how? I'm like, I thought it wouldn't be the case. I thought because you're a neuroscientist, you'd be against something like that. It's like the complete opposite. So he walked me through his journey. So it was kind of like a domino effect, right? Like it started, I guess, with Joe Rogan. Then it was Sanjay. Then it was Brett, the name of the guy that I met. And then it just kept on happening and kept on happening. And just like anything in life, it's like, at least for me, okay, I believe that if something is scary, I should be doing it. That's where I get to grow. And I was scared, right? Like, because I had a very bad experience with psychedelics before where I didn't take it knowing that I was taking it. The story ended off fun and all. We can talk about that maybe later. But in terms of me voluntarily being like, hey, I'm gonna take this to feel better, it was a big leap, and that's why I decided to take it. Because after hearing everything I've heard, I ended up watching more documentaries. Magic Fungi, I think, is that's one of them. I read a lot of articles online before I took it. Before I took it, I was a really bad place. It was so weird, man. Like I had just got a job at the biggest company in the world, right? I was working at AWS. I was making more money than I thought was possible. The name of the company is like now everyone is messaging me on LinkedIn offering me new jobs just because I got that job, right? I get this amazing, again, this is my opinion. I get this amazing spot in downtown Toronto all by myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm killing it, right? But I was so depressed and I didn't know how to talk to anyone about it because it's like all my friends are like, oh, you made it, right? And I'm like, okay, but I don't feel like that. I feel like shit actually. I hate everything. I don't like my job. I don't like that I have like even right now, like I look at this place, it's too big for me. Like I don't what was the point, you know? And I also felt extremely lost. Like I'm like again, like I got this big job, I'm in corporate and so on, but what am I really contributing? You know, like when you work at a really big company, you are just as they, what's they saying, like you're a cog in the machine, basically. And I'm like, I'm not, I don't feel like I'm providing any value, right? I don't feel like I am also valued. I don't feel like I have a voice. So it's like it was a huge slap to the face to realize, like, oh, for me, money isn't everything. Because I come from nothing, like literally, worse than nothing, actually. Like just even you, this is nothing, and then this this is here, right? So I thought money was the final boss. I'm like, but I have it now, but I still feel like shit. And I tried meditating. I tried reading self-help books and so on, but I just felt like there was something else that I'm missing, and I wanted to try something new. The first time I ever took mushrooms, I wasn't aware that it was happening, really. It was like back in college, it was placed in my food, and then shortly afterwards, we went to watch Doctor Strange. I was told about it while we are going there, and I'm young, I'm an idiot, so I was like, okay, like, we're just gonna have a good time, whatever. To be fair, like, the movie was a whole trip, and then coming back, I went to like a house party. It was all over the place. Like, thankfully, nothing bad happened, but it was not like I didn't take it or I wasn't given it to like in the sense of enlightenment. So those were two different things, right? So I wouldn't say I had a bad experience necessarily, but I had a different experience. So with this one, I came prepared. I had a playlist that I made, and the playlist was music that with no drugs, with anything, it made me feel like I'm levitating, right? I'm huge on film score music, so anything that doesn't have words, I love. So I had a playlist like that ready to go. I knew exactly what time I was gonna take it at. I wanted to take it towards the end of the day because I have a really nice rooftop in the building, has a nice view to the downtown Toronto scene, and I knew at night it looks beautiful, and I wanted to experience that. So I had essentially the setup, I had the music, I even had some visuals that I wanted to watch. So I was coming into it like that. But what I thought was super important as well is like I tried my best to come into it with no expectation. So I was like, I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I just I don't want to be in control. I kind of want it to be in control of me, right? Like the only thing I kind of want to be in control of is like, okay, I don't want to do it on the street. Like I want to make sure my environment is safe. But other than that, I didn't like, write some prompts and I'm like, I want to think about this thing. I want to be found. I did not think about that at all. I was like, if there is a God, if there is an energy, if there's a universe, whatever, then maybe this will help me tap into it and I'll figure something out, right? Okay, so I take it. It hit me right way quicker than I thought. Immediately, I put on my headphones. I'm a big music guy. I love getting lost in sound, and I start playing the playlist. The feeling is getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and then just like this, I was like, okay, it's time for me to go outside. I can't be like indoors anymore. I need to experience the outdoors, basically. So I go all the way upstairs. I don't last there for too long because it was very cold. I run all the way back down. I put on like a massive hoodie, long johns, pants. I can't believe it was that cold, by the way. This was summer. I don't know why it was that cold. But anyways, and then before I go back up, I have a small camera. It's somewhere around here. People think when you're on psychedelics, depends on the dosage that you're not aware or you can't do a lot of things. But it's like no, you can. So for me, it was like I'm still able to think. I'm like I want this camera because I want to record me when I think I'll have a very impactful like moment. So I grab the camera, I put it in my pouch, like because I'm wearing a hoodie, and I go back up. And this is where things start to get very, very interesting. So I sit down on the patio. We have kind of like out couches, whatever. I sit down and I'm looking at the skyline. I'm like, this is the most beautiful shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, this is like the best way I can describe it. Imagine if you literally somehow have been removed from society. You know what I mean? Like you grow up and you're like now you're 18 years old and then I grab you and I put you in front of the 16th chapel, and you're looking at the artwork, and you like you probably start crying, like your mind can't comprehend it. That's how I felt. I'm looking at this, and I actually start tearing up. I'm like, this is so fucking beautiful, and that was the first time in a long time. Not only did I feel it, I knew what I was feeling, which is gratitude. I was like, God damn, I get to see this. So I grew up in Lebanon, right? Like I still talk to all my friends down there. One of my friends told me he went out the balcony and had to run back inside because someone was shooting his car. And I get to do this. That's fucking insane. And I'm not saying it like, haha, now I'm in a better situation. Not at all. Like that's a whole nother demon that's inside of me that eats me alive every day. but it was more so like, dude, like take a step back and this is great. Like you get to see this. It was so weird. I've never felt that before because I'm always like I'll reach a level where I think I'm about to be happy and then I immediately crash and get depressed because I'm like I don't deserve this. So I never get to live in the moment. And for me it felt like this was the first time I'm sitting there like this and I'm looking at this counter. I was like, oh, like I'm taking it in. I never took all of it in. And that's why I started tearing up. I go up so I'm sitting down and then I take a couple steps forwards. I'm holding on to the metal piece, the whatever, because I'm looking up the whole time. And then I want to take a break. And then so I look down and I see this like plant that's coming out from concrete. So it's like two plates of concrete, and there's only one plant coming out. And I'm like, what? Like, how's that possible? Like, that's so crazy. So I take a step back and I crouch down, and then when I go to grab it, the best way I can describe it, I didn't feel like I was there. It felt like the plant was underwater. Like the way it was moving in such a smooth way. It was there's no way this is in air outside. This has to be underwater. And I was just in awe again. I was like first of all, how the fuck did you manage to grow from concrete? Like I don't see the dirt. Like it doesn't make sense, but yet here you are. And like the way it was moving, I was like so appreciative of like just like the small things. And that also made me feel very 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 emotional. And then I sit back down again and I was like, all right, this is a lot. I want to record the moment, right? So I'm about to take out the camera, and again, I want to walk you through everything that happened because I want this to be like very transparent. And as I'm about to take out the camera, I freeze because my eyes lock into one of the buildings. And this building, I don't know what it's called, but it's unique, I guess, because it's pretty wide and it has a lot of small lights. Well, small from my perspective, they're probably gigantic for but here all the way there. But what's crazy is that the way the lights, like the whole building, right? Because like there's some lights are off, some lights are on. I started to see a shape, and I saw a dragon, and that made me trip so much because a big reason why I'm doing all of this is because of Sanjay. Like that was one of a big catalyst. And I'll never forget when Sanjay was talking to me about his experience. He said that he saw a dragon. So I started freaking. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell? Like, what are the odds I'm seeing a dragon?" And I was like blown away by the skyline or by the plant. Like now I'm thinking about it deeper, but in the moment it wasn't like, "Oh, why am I seeing a dragon?" or why am I seeing this? It was more so like I'm just taking it in. To me, that felt very relaxing. So I have the camera here, and it has like a flip out screen, right? So I flip out the screen, I start recording, and I start talking, and I start just like describing my experience. But I'm talking, and then my peripheral vision, like you can see my eyes. I'm looking at the screen, but I'm also there's something else that has my attention over there. So I look over there like this, just ever so slightly. And the door that I used to go inside, the rooftop, I see it open up ever so slightly, and a shadow figure sticks his head out like this, looks at me, freezes, and goes back inside and closes the door. I see that, and I don't know how I didn't freak out. I just remember feeling very anxious, and I pause, and then I just look back at the camera and I say, it's time for me to go. And I close the camera. I get up, music in my ears the whole time. I take off my headphones because I'm like, okay, dude, you are seeing some bad shit. It's not real. You're gonna be fine. Just go back to your place. Everything's gonna be fine. So I walk. I'm literally like repeating this mantra to myself. So I walk. I grab onto the door handle. I open it up and I see nothing. I'm like, this is a good sign. This was not real. This is all in my head. It's fine. I'm going down the stairs, and at that point, the stairs felt like I was freaking going down like the wall of China. Like that shit was not ending, right? I'm just like, oh my god, man, let me get to the bottom. And then eventually, I get to the bottom. I open the door. I'm like again, still repeating the mantra. I'm clicking on the elevator. I go down to my floor, and then in my head, I'm like, okay, run to the apartment and go straight to the washroom and wash your face. Everything's gonna be fine. I go, get to my place, open the door. I like freaking threw my headphones. I need new headphones. These guys are actually like, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I chucked them across the room. I go to the washroom, head down, open the faucet, I put water on my face like this, wipe it off, and then when I look up in the mirror, I see me. Now, I don't see my reflection, like obviously there's my reflection, but that shadow figure, he's standing right behind me, and it was me. So I was, so again, like, cause I would tell this to my friends sometimes and be like, wow, you were really gone. Like it was just your mirror reflection. I was like, no, guys, listen to the words I'm telling you. There was my reflection, and then there was this person right here. I freaked out, but I couldn't stop looking at him because it was that moment I realized I'm like, that's that's what made me so anxious and what I was so scared of. And then we started looking at each other. I just started smiling at him. And when I started smiling at him, he kind of like just slowly started to what's it called? To like disappear. For whatever reason, I can't explain it. My conclusion to that, I started saying out loud, I'm like, I'm not afraid to die. And then I started talking to myself out loud and I started to realize like, oh shit, like because I live a very stressful life. I had a very tough upbringing. I literally lived through war. Like that's one of the reasons why we came to Canada. So I'm always depressed. I'm always stressed. Last year I had my first ever anxiety attack where like I passed out in the middle of the street. I thought I was gonna die when it happened. I literally thought I was having a heart attack. So all those things are happening to me, and my conclusion after that experience was like, okay, there are a lot of bad shit that happens, but I'm like, the thing I'm actually scared of is just how I react to it. It's like I run away from every relationship I'm in. I get angry so easily. Oh my God, it's so easy to get under my skin, right? So all of those are happening, and I'm like, well, duh, like life sucks. Like life is not fair. It's not meant to be easy. But at the end of the day, the thing I'm actually scared of, the thing that is making me feel like this, is me. The dude that I was looking at behind me, the shadow figure that like I'm telling you, when I saw him the first time, it was just like complete darkness and just like maybe like a little bit of light in the eyes so I can see him looking at me. That's it. And I'm like, that's what I'm scared of. So when I found out that that shadow figure is me, I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I was like, even if something were to happen to me where it might kill me, I'm not scared of it. I'm like, I'm not scared of anything. And I just started like I remember like walking around the living room and I was like feeling euphoria. I was like, I felt like I had like maybe like shackles of some sort, and I was just like, I don't care. Like I am in control. Whatever happens, it happens. But I'm not gonna let it affect me basically. Trusting your gut instinct. I don't think you should ignore like when you feel it in your stomach, I really feel like you should just do it. And to me, when I decided to buy the psychedelics, because it's a whole process, right? It's not like one day I woke up, I was like, oh, I want to do this, and then it just appeared in my head, and I took it. It is a series of thoughts and actions to get to that point. From thinking about it, talking to people about it, m- making the order, receiving and opening the package, taking like look 5 steps like that's not it doesn't happen by coincidence but to me like the biggest catalyst is like that I literally felt it in my stomach. I was like, this is what I need to do. And now when I look back at things, this is bigger than psychedelics. I cannot remember the last time I've had that feeling and I wasn't satisfied with the outcome. The core of it is I listen to my gut. I think I talk about psychedelics in a different light now. So it's like one of my favorite books of all time, by the way. It's called Skin in the Game by Nassim Taleb. And the concept of skin in the game is that I can, for example, tell you this is how you should swim, but I've never swam before. This doesn't make any sense. Like you don't have no skin in the game. You don't get to tell me anything, right? So before the experience, I went from like telling people, guys, I think you should look into this, but I've never done it before. To now, guys, I think you should look into this, and this is my experience. It just has a much stronger delivery. Also numbers don't lie. The science can be inaccurate sometimes, but with the data that we have at hand, it just has way more pros than cons from what I've seen and from what I've experienced. So that's one of the ways I integrate it. I let people get under my skin so easily. Now I have a point of reference. I'm like, oh, why are you getting so mad? And even by the way, this is not something I've only noticed. My friends have told me you don't behave the same. Like, actually, I want to give this example. I have a very bad relationship with my family. So when I would go visit them once in a blue moon, every time I come back from the visit, I am smoking 4 blunts. I am maybe taking a shot. to numb the pain, right? I cannot remember the last time I smoked weed. I can't remember the last time I wanted to grab a drink because I'm anxious. I cannot, I can't even fathom the idea of like, oh, I'm stressed, I need to do this. It's just like I'm in control. Oh, that's crazy. I just realized the full circle we just made. I would say 1,000,000% the music. Spend time making a playlist before. Like, because the thing is, like, if you end up having a bad experience, I think music's gonna calm you down, and it just it takes you on a journey. Like, music is like, in my opinion, the only art form that, with no psychedelics or nothing, if you listen to the right tracks and you close your eyes, you can feel the hair on your body stand up. Nothing else can make you feel like this. You really don't know who you could be affecting. You know what I mean? Like, and if with something like this, something that could fix some serious trauma or mental health issues, like, you have to. It's like almost like your duty, I feel like, to do it.